Alright. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Non Classic. This episode number 2874 and Doubleshot number 2778. 68. So, first we're discussing The Flash, Volume 2, issues 51 to 61, and also 226 to 230 for this series, and the final 6 issues of Checkmate, Volume 2. Now, why am I doing that along with these 11 issues? Well, because basically I'll get to that. So, in the case of issue 51, this continues with the aftermath of issue 50. Now, the whole thing with these first two issues is that Barry is rich, except that he's not actually rich. Apparently, that was a lie. So it turns out he owes money to the IRS because of expenditures done in overseas. So basically, kind of in a way, indirectly, while he finds out his mom is using his Justice League access code to use the teleporters to go to Paris to go shopping. That's kind of what we have here. And for the next few issues, he works for the IRS. Yes. That's pretty much in the way what happens here. He works for the IRS. And also the fact he has to basically work with the first Icicle, Patridge, who's here for the one issue here. And we basically kind of deal with that for the next few issues, and then he joins like the IRS. Got no choice in the matter. Of course, the story kind of leads into the fourth annual, which basically was 2001, which I've already discussed already. So moving on. 53 has basically his race with, well, it's basically, well, the whole thing with 53, it's Guess Our Suitman. It's like, oh, it's a big race, except that the race is actually a ruse to rescue Jimmy Olsen. That's what this issue is. I appreciate the fact that Messner-Loebs basically had basically a famous foot race between Superman and the Flash, just like Wally's Uncle Barry did in World's Finest 199. This is basically very similar to that. And of course, the main villain of this issue is Silver Squid. And he's here for he has only 2 appearances. Here's the weird thing. He's like a one-off character who DC brought back last year. Actually, as part of a reprint. Yes, as a reprint. Yeah, so he's only appeared once. He was just a drug addict, but really fun issue. 54, basically, we have the first appearance of Altered Strain. It's this weird group who just appears for one issue. It just still with the IRS stuff. Yeah, this lasts for several issues. And then we have War of the Gods tie-in where we have Flash work with Hermes and Mercury, who, by the way, are 2 separate beings. Yep. And moving on to 56, where we deal with an Icicle, where it's James Christine, where he says he's the grandson of the original Icicle. Which is kind of weird, given the fact that Icicle also has a son. There's also Dola Christine too. Yeah, she debuts here too. Where she kind of works with the Flash throughout these few issues. Yeah, and Yeah, and also that this is sort of leading toward the very end of, and then we have the big romance. Where this is a funny issue. This one, oh my gosh. So the National Enquirer publishes a fake story that Power Girl is pregnant with Wally West's child, and of course, basically, Power Girl Joe calls him, "Oh hi, lover boy," despite the fact these two have never slept together. It is a funny issue. And no, it does not go anywhere at all. It is so funny. Oh my gosh, it is so funny. Yeah, and it features a two-part appearance by this guy called The Last Resort. Yep. And then we lead into the final issue of this run. Yes, 61 is in fact the final issue of Willie Messner-Loebs' run. Where this is the issue where Wally's mom remarries the French detective she met some point early on in the run. Esterno Verney. His real name is yeah, and this is the issue where he marries Mary West. Yep. Yeah. So they get married. Rudy, Wally's father, shows up. Yeah. Who apparently is alive. And by the way, after this issue, his stepfather, here's the thing with Ercerno. He does not appear again into issue 142. The issue where Wally and Linda get married. Yeah. And they get married, and then Wally reunites with Linda. I have a feeling that the reason why Loebs did this is because Mark Waid was going to do a lot of stuff with Linda, and this leads to more of their romance, which eventually gets to get married in issue 142, and they're still married this very day with 2 kids. Actually, 3 kids now. But that's pretty much the whole run in a nutshell. These last 11 issues. I gotta say, Loebs' run is really good. It's shocking that not a lot of this runs in trade. And you're thinking, really? Yeah, really. It's weird. I don't know the reason for this. Here's the thing. Loeb started with this run with issue 15. And he did it up until issue 61. And here's the weird thing. They only collected the 4th annual. Well, let's see. They collected something in this book. Go away, please. Thank you. Okay, so I'm not sure what they... So there is a omnibus that does collect this run. Yes. Well, it's 1 volume. And it only collects the first 28 issues. Issue Invasion, a couple issues of Manhunter. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so why isn't there a regular trade for this one? I have no idea. It's weird, to say the least. But yeah, that's Willie Messner-Loebs' run. I gotta admit, it's actually a really interesting run. In case you're curious, though, it's almost 50 issues. So he was on this book for 4 years. If you think, was his the longest book? Oh no, it was Waid's. Yep. So Mark Waid's run, all done. Yes. Between this and 225, all done. Yep. Now skipping straight to 226. Yeah, I'm also discussing 226, 230. Now, These are like 5 issues done by Stuart Immonen and Catherine Cooter. And this is just after Jeff Johns just ended his epic run for the book. 226 is basically Wally and Pied Piper go on a mountain trip, and then we have the finish line, where basically we deal with Dr. Alchemy, Gorilla Grodd, Heatwave, the Weather Wizard, Lenz is in this book, Bart is in this book as Kid Flash. This issue is done by Joe Caviali. Those of you probably asking, who the heck is this guy? Well, he's not that big of a writer at DC. I reviewed some of stuff for like his detective run. He was also the co-creator of the Halliburton Nellie Huntress. Yes, he was. And he also wrote the Green Arrow feature from Detective. Well, he pretty much wrote almost the entire run. But his Flash run is pretty much up until from 227 to 230. Like in 220 he teams up with Nightwing and Cyborg of the Titans. It's like really fun here, deal with Vandal Savage. It feels like a really fun run, and there's no trade that collects these issues. Nope. And then you have Wally, Jay, and Bart just team up. And then we have in 229 the birth of Wally's twin children. Well, technically they debuted, they were birthed in 225. They don't get their name in quite a while, but they do show up in this book. They do. Yep, and then basically 230 is listed as the final issue of the series. It's called The End. Yep, and the series went on hiatus. Very, very nice note to go on. I love the Joe Cavalli issues, and I love basically what Steven did. I gotta admit, these 5 issues are really good. Give these issues a 9 out of 10. Now, I decided to read these issues along with the remainder of Will Messner-Loebs' run. It's because, well, the next thing I wanted to review before I review the last 18 issues of this run is going to be The Flash, the fastest man alive. But when I come back to this series, I'll first talk about All Flash Volume 2, Number 1, and whatever's collecting that first trade for Flash Fast Man Alive. So, these issues, 9 out of 10. So, next up we have is Checkmate Chimera. This is the last 6 issues of Checkmate Volume 2. Written by the replacement writer Bruce Jones. My guess is when Rucka left the book with issue 25, they probably didn't have plans to have the book continue that much longer. So they figured though, like, oh, why not just... By the way, these issues are by Bruce Jones. Which is interesting. It's like this is all like, oh, this whole Chimera is like, oh, let's basically deal with like an old monster that Checkmate created, and this be the final arc of the series. That's kind of what this is, and just ends an okay note. Checkmate does not go away. It's still around. Like, by the time the book ends, it's not like the end of the first volume, where Checkmate is like disbanded by the end of that first volume. And yeah, and by the final issue of the book, it's basically like, oh, now by the way, the main member Checkmate were, get this, August and Iron, Chimera, Fire, and Taliban Khad. Yeah, and the Chimera character, which is the original character for this book. And here's the weird thing about this character. After this book ended, he was never seen again. No, really, he wasn't. And we also have Return of the Global Guardians issues. Yep, they made a return in this book. Yep, they did, for reasons. They popped up for the last few issues of the book, and then the book ends. They do cover a character in the final issue, a dragon, who debuted in the previous issue. But this run is okay. I do enjoy the artwork. I do enjoy August and Ire. I think he's a really cool character. It's just that, well, I kind of felt as though that this is a bit of a rushed ending to the series. Like, you had an amazing start with Greg Rucka. Now, yeah, basically, I'm in the final thoughts of this run. This whole entire series. Now, Checkmate Volume 2 under Rucka was really, really good. I enjoyed every single issue I read. These issues were not as exciting as Rucka's issues, sadly. Nothing against Bruce Jones, it's just it doesn't feel as exciting as their writers did. Of course, he did write one of the worst. He probably wrote basically really. He also, not the first time I reviewed something from him, he also wrote the really bad Blood Brothers story arc, Brothers in Blood from Nightwing. Which, of course, basically, he left the book and then got placed with Marv Wolfman, who had a pretty decent run for the book. But this is the end of Checkmate Volume 2. And this is the end of Checkmate. No more Checkmate. Yes, I reviewed Volume 3 already, so basically, the next thing to review, because now Checkmate, this is going to be replaced with Justice Society America Volume 2. And it's a bit of a circle book because we have a popular character who has been integral to the Flash debut in that book. I will discuss at some point. But this is pretty much a particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do another like button. Next up is basically Fairy Tale One Year's Quest. That or basically my stream with Jay Heat. Okay? Next video. Bye.